we all hate to admit that we've made mistakes, but could you share with us what you've learned in your experience from your mistakes?
From my mistake. Yeah, sure. Looking back over it, there are mistakes that happen within programs, especially enterprise level programs. Sometimes, you know, like I say, the configurations that I'm more that I work with a lot more than some of the other stuff. You know, like I said, if you miss some settings, you can break an entire platform. It can also push the scheduling, where you blow a schedule because of a setting or because the vendor's not ready. And you know, when you drill down into some of these programs that I've been on, when you're talking these platforms, I mean, you're talking 4 or 5 different vendors, 20-something different platforms for computers or for printers or for cellular devices. And when you hand the configuration off to these vendors, their stuff has to operate when they load the operating systems, and the configurations, they have to be able to match what we're able to accomplish in the Air Force. So a lot of times that pushes your schedule. And so you have things like that, and what we try to do is we roll out with these configurations for computers, for printers, for cellular devices every 6 months. So we get a chance to go and say, okay, did we make the schedule or did we blow the schedule, and what happened? And it's not no pointing fingers kind of thing that he did this and she did that. We try to look at it as a team and focus on what are we going to do better in the next 6 months that's going to make us that much more successful, so we can meet the schedule that we set ourselves in place. Because in the Air Force, you have budget constraints. So when you're talking 6-month increments, you know, you have money these months, and then next month you might not have much money. So getting the products out there to when the Air Force has the money to spend is very important to our warfighters. So you know, a lot of mistakes, different kinds of mistakes, but always go back and revisit your projects and take a look at what happened, and then figure out the way to fix it, whether it's a process change, a procedure change, or maybe another change management control mechanism that has to go in place. But I've been able to successfully do that.
Okay, Mark. As you look back in your technology experience, what would you say was your biggest accomplishment?
Well, let's see, my biggest accomplishment, I would like to say the current project that I'm on has been a very successful, but I wasn't the only sole winner there. It was a huge team effort. But one that sticks out the most, I guess, is back when I worked with Northrop Grumman. They had a project down at Tyndall Air Force Base for the Air Force civil engineering community, which I took the job basically because of the mission and the project that it was going for. And basically what they had, it was right when Operation Iraqi Freedom started up. And they had guys in the desert trying, new fresh airmen, the engineers just out of school, having to, you know, learn how to build runways out on the desert sands, you know, how to build guard towers, how to put up bulletproof walls, and this kind of stuff. And what they have in the headquarters of civil engineering is subject matter experts. So the only thing about it was they had no way to get that information, that valuable expert information, out to, other than by documentation and printing all these, publishing all these regulations. They couldn't, the guys in the field could not hardly get back on a call to a subject matter expert when they really needed to have an answer right then. So they, a colonel suggested that they wanted what they call a reach-back center. So that would be the go-between between the subject matter experts and the people in the field. And I helped facilitate what the requirements were, gathered those. We had a budget. We only had 3 months basically to get this thing done, and this is profiling over 100 and something subject matter experts in tons of different areas. I'm talking fire, electric, plumbing, guard towers, almost everything that can be done out in the environment, they have an expert for it. And we had to profile these guys because you had to put them into a subject matter knowledge management system. So that way when a call come in, the engineer sitting at the desk could pull up his console and select, was this a fire problem? Was this a guard tower issue? Was this a runway issue? Was this a concrete, pavement? What was it? And be able to select that and then be able to pull up the guy's name. So without going into a whole much more detail, but that's the gist of it, where they could tag the subject matter expert, get the guy, the folks calling in from the war, right in touch with the subject matter expert almost seamlessly. Just basically hold the line, get the expert on the phone, or get an email out to them so they can make the connection and support the war fighter efforts. And you know, that was one of my biggest successes when I left there. I actually got a chance to become one of the engineers that answered some of the phone calls. But once and I stayed after the program was up and running, the center was running, and I had basically done my time there, and the project was coming to an end for the technology build. So that's when I decided that it was time to make the next move.
Well, with that being said, this concludes our interview. I hope all of you who view Mark Preston Milton's interview video will get a well-rounded insight of his technology experience and what he has to offer to the technology world. I would like to thank you for your time and your interest in reviewing this interview.